Let's talk about being scammed for $100,000.
You don't like losing
There
$100,000.
you go. Even my wife didn't catch a red flag. She catches every red flag. You know what I'm saying? So
Some people have it and some people don't.
the 5 people you hang out with kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted the fucking money. I wanted the Lamborghini. I wanted the
Yeah.
girls. I wanted all of it, right?
Like everything I talked about in Cleveland, do you want that stuff happening here?
Why am I doing all this? Why am I making the cold calls? Why am I waking up every day showing houses or looking at these crack labs in South Phoenix, right?
Like Tony Robbins says, if you want to learn Italian, go to Italy for 2 months, full immersion, figure it out. You just got to jump in, learn, absorb. There's a case I'm working on with a gentleman from Florida doing the same exact thing in Cleveland, and he makes your guy look like a chump.
The Flagstaff deal, where a student brought it to you and
Sedona, let's get that
Sedona,
clear.
sorry.
I sold the properties in Cleveland and bought the largest real estate investing association in the country.
Welcome back to Young Money Mindset. We are talking about real estate's mindset, the hustle. We have someone that I really respect and a large investor here in the community, Michael Del Prete.
What's up?
And I think this episode has been great. You guys definitely want to stay tuned to the end of it. He drops all of his information, talks a lot about the AZREIA. He's done over 700 transactions, and someone that I've personally can attest to his knowledge. I've been to a class, and he tells some awesome stories. Stay tuned.
What is that story? What is the Ellis Island story?
Oh, so when people were migrating to the States, you had to go through Ellis Island, and then it's just kind of like they're Americans, right? So then when they see Del Prete, they're like Del Prete. You're Del Prete. Like but the family was like proud though. I'm an American now. You know what I'm saying? Like Del Prete, it's Del Prete.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. It was, you get what I'm saying?
Let's roll with it. Yeah, we're American. We got what we wanted. Yeah, let's fit in.
Yep, that's all it was, man.
I love it, man. And I guess let's just start it off. I know originally doing some research and doing my research, I found some really interesting statistic about your career, and you've had over 700 transactions.
Correct.
From the latest statistic that I saw. So let's start there. I know there's probably some crazy stories, but I'd like to just start off with maybe one of the crazier ones that comes to mind today, in terms of either a large amount of money that you've made, or just a crazy story where maybe you lost money on a deal.
Okay, and we're rolling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone has their own their different setup. So, all right, man. So where do you even want to start, man? I can go. Let's talk about being scammed for $100,000. How about that one?
That's a good one. I like that.
I like
No one likes to
Yeah.
lose $100,000, right?
Yeah.
That's our tagline.
Yeah, you don't like losing $100,000.
There you go.
Here's how to do it.
So, in due diligence is always number one, right? Like when you're going to a movie, you ask a friend, or you go to Yelp, you go to Google reviews, whatever it is. So always do that in real estate. You never know who you're working with or doing a deal with, whatever it is. So always vet everybody. So this situation here, I started investing in Cleveland, Ohio. So you guys know the market here. This was COVID type time. So I was, hey, let's start buying some rentals out there. You can be all in at 75 to 100K, rent it out for $1,000, $1,200. Great return on investment. Can't beat that. It's better than Phoenix. So on. No appreciation, all cash flow. So the market was good. So just a little context. That's why we went there. And I was like, I'm going to go to Cleveland and wholesale first, learn the market, build my team, get to know the neighborhoods, the pockets, and then create my investor identity, my buying criteria for my rentals. So that was the first game plan. That was in February 2020. Then we all know what happened in March. I had a few G's in marketing rolling out. I built out, I just sold it, but we built a call center in Hermosillo, Mexico. So I had all my VAs, my reps, everyone was trained, money's out and going. So it's like, do you just quit? Do you stop? Or do you just keep rolling, right? So from the kitchen table, I started wholesaling in Cleveland. So from there, just learning the game. And you're starting to pay attention to all the players. So you're like, who's the buyers? You're on Instagram looking for hashtag Cleveland investing. And you're just like doing everything you do to build your cash buyers list as a wholesaler. And I kept seeing the same guy, mover and shaker, bus tours, you name it. He's just buying houses. And then whatever, looks a little fancy. I didn't reach out to him. I don't even know what's going on. Then whatever odd reason, Amazon was like, you should buy this book. It was this guy. I was like, okay, bought the book. Let me read it. Family man, kids, wife, soccer practice. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole. I was like, this is a legit dude, right? So reached out to him. It's like, hey, let's do some deals. This is who I am. He's like, hey, why don't you come to my mastermind? It's for out of state investors. He was in California, and then I'm in Arizona, and he's like, I'm buying and selling and flipping in Cleveland. So he's like, let's come to the group. So I start going to the group because I wanted to learn how to be a better out of state investor. So you get with the people that are doing it to become better, right? So that's what I'm doing. So then I'm just starting to connect with the guy, start wholesaling him a couple deals here and there, and then he was like, "Yo, Mike, I got this deal. I got PropStream, all the resources, agents out there now, comping the deal." It's like, all right. He's like, "Yo, let me borrow 100." So it was 50 for the acquisition, 50 for renovation. Hard money loan is basically what we did. So did the deal, 6-month type loan, whatever it was. Then 6 months comes by. Hey, I need a little bit more time. The stall tactics. Those
Yeah.
fake cash
Oh, yeah.
buyers, those
Yeah.
wholesalers act like buyers. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's like, need a couple more minutes. So anyways, that's happening. All right, whatever. But we're wholesaling deals. He's buying deals. It's like, all right, whatever. We're good. And then some people from the community start going, hey, did he ever pay you back? Like, or because we just all talk. Or I'm still waiting on my money. Then another person's like, I'm still waiting on my money. Oh, I'm still waiting on my. And it's like, oh shit, this is
This is
not
like a bigger, this is
yeah.
like a big web of stuff going on.
And so this is the author of the book, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of what we are kind of leaning
Yeah.
into before, you're like going about buy these $10,000 courses. Like you never know who's who. Like book, legit, Amazon, bus tours, pictures, houses. Like I literally I only went to Cleveland once. I did 25 wholesale deals my first year and bought 10 rentals, and I went there once as COVID started winding down, right? And I went to all his houses. I met contractors. I met property managers. I met literally, he had his whole staff at one of the dinners at the Hilton. I was like,
This guy seems legit, right? Like
I'm in the business at the time, 12 years, 11 years, and I'm just like, just no red flags. And even my wife didn't catch a red flag. She catches every red flag. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
so it's like we met his wife. We were dinners and kids. So anyways, man. So long story short, I had first lien position. One first and foremost, listeners, first lien position. Never cut a check to anybody. Send the money through title. Get your paperwork in order. Get first lien position. Because all the other people that I started to meet, they were just cutting him handwritten checks.
Wow.
To his personal name. He would say 123 Main Street's your house.
Wow.
And then they're like, hey, 123 Main Street sold. Like,
what a minute.
Like messed up, man.
Wow.
So now I'm attorneys now, right? Hunting down my money, strategy, all this stuff. And it's so common in cities like Cleveland where it's dirt cheap. It's easy for these scammers to go get 50 grand, 25 grand, 100 grand from the community in California or whatever and go buy these little houses, right? And they're just turning the money, keeping the money. I'm telling my attorney, and he's like, well, good luck, right? Like me, I get nervous. Like, they say, don't post on social media. Don't guarantee an interest rate when raising money. SEC will come at, that's where I'm at. I'm like, I ain't guaranteeing nothing. And this guy's robbing millions.
Gosh, man.
And the attorney was like, you know why I say good luck, Mike? Because there's a case I'm working on with a gentleman from Florida doing the same exact thing in Cleveland, and he makes your guy look like a chump, and he's walking the streets.
So you didn't have any prior paperwork or anything written out. How did you pay him? Was that a check or did you wire transfer to him?
Wire transfer from the self-directed IRA to the title company, and the title company funds the deal. Regular deal,
Right.
So a title company sends you wiring info, you shoot it straight to them, and then they use those funds without any deed of trust. I don't think they
No, it was a legit deal. Like,
Yeah.
title. He bought the house. Like we were the bank.
got it.
We got our lien position. So he owned the house free. You know what I mean? Like, we had a mortgage on the property.
Got it.
So that was the case.
Okay. And this was in Cleveland, and it sounds like was this early on in your journey of buying out of state?
It was like I went in March 2020. I started, and that was probably maybe 6-7 months in.
I mean, most people's mindset, right, when they get scammed or they get screwed out of, that's a lot of money, $100,000
Yeah.
to get scammed out of. a lot of people, they just crumble mentally and they're just like, man, shit, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I need to get out of real estate. I've heard that one a lot of like, I had a bad deal. I lost some money or made a little bit of money, then lost some money. Maybe real estate's not for me. So walk us through your mindset around how did you overcome that? And then speak to the 10 rentals too, because I think that's really impressive.
Got it.
Building.
So I guess confidence in yourself, right? One, I've already been in the business. I've got my bumps and bruises, right? It's inevitable. I'm not saying you're going to lose money like that, but you're going to lose out on a deal or something's crazy again. Someone's going to try to sue you. Something weird is going to happen. It's just part of life. We weren't born like life's going to be perfect. You'll never have an issue ever in your life. Like it's just part of life. So it's just like anything else. Yeah. So, okay, 100 grand, I guess maybe being in the business, I could absorb that. Right. Because
That hit. Yeah. Where some people would have just been ruined financially for years.
Yeah. Like you can't be out there just lending your last penny to some random person or even if you trusted them, like, you know what I mean? So it's like I had a business, like I know how to find a deal. I already had other rental properties. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing deals in Phoenix and Cleveland. So it wasn't, my wife's an agent, like we had the call center. So I had all these multiple streams of income coming into my life where that confidence is still there, where I know I can always get through it and it didn't knock me down.
Well, and a big thing that I take away from that too is also being patient, because I think that's also another takeaway is like early on in your career, right? Maybe year 1, 2, and 3, you shouldn't be out there trying to lend your last dollar and try to be out there trying to be a hero investor and make all these huge returns, because one bad decision, one thing that, you get scammed, something goes wrong, could put you out of business. So
yeah, man.
I think later on, I think that patience too, I think is sometimes when you look back on real estate investors' career, is like you got to build that stable foundation, and you did that, which allowed you to absorb that, and then talk to the 10 rentals, because that's something personally that I've built my rental portfolio here, but I've always been interested in branching outside of Arizona, and I know a lot of our listeners could be investors here locally, maybe they're out of state. How do you look at underwriting? And I know it starts with building a team. Is there any high level, quick observations that you want to run through in terms of building the 10 rentals? And if you don't mind, maybe sharing the cash flow on those and kind of what your time horizon is on either exiting them or what your plans are.
Yeah, for sure, man. Real estate's the same anywhere, right? You find it, you buy it, you fix it, you maintain it, you sell it. It's all the same, just more zeros, right? And then there's little caveats, different areas. So Cleveland, if you're going to a different state, understand the laws, right? Obviously, we say red states as landlords. I don't even say red states. I say, how fast can you get them out of the house if they don't pay? That's key, especially when it's winter time. So you can get these cash flow markets where it snows. I mean, I had someone leave a property in like October. I couldn't get them out till February, right, in one property. So you want understand the laws and the agenda of the city and what they're doing. Learn that. I'm learning that the hard way. I'm actually on 4 properties. I've been in court for 2 years because it's a whole nother game, man. Like it's so. The law. Let's just start there, right? And then the team. That you got to in Cleveland, since we're on that topic, it's like West Cleveland's better than East Cleveland, right? But then there's the city of East Cleveland. So you got to get, some people don't even pay attention. You got to be smart, right? So it's like then on the outskirts it's the suburbs of Cleveland, and they all have like Shagar Heights, Garfield Heights, all these little heights. And then they have what's called a point of sale. So when you sell the property, the city comes in and inspects the property and says, well, if you're going to sell it, you got to fix this list, right? It's not a deal killer. It's nothing crazy, but it's an inconvenience. Nothing we're used to.
They do that on every deal out there, regardless?
In certain cities.
Okay.
You're not Cleveland proper, the outskirts, the suburbs does, right? So it's those little nuances that and we don't have here in Phoenix. We have it really good here, man.
That's what I've heard. And you have, I don't know if that's an attorney state too, right? Where you're dealing with.
No, it's title state.
Title state.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, very good point. Yes.
And that's a big piece too, because I know a lot of folks get hung up on that. They're used to Arizona, where it's like, oh, call a title company, right?
I wouldn't even go to the attorney state. Your attorney state, Chicago,
Right.
So that's like my co-host on the AZREIA Show, Marcus, is always doing deals out there. Unless you got to get a good attorney because they're in on the deal too. He was telling me stories like the attorney will be like, call the owner of the house, be like, You just cut. So, anyways, so be careful, man.
I could see that how
yeah.
closing attorneys would be like, "Oh yeah, this looks a little funky" or something,
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they're backdooring it. Wow,
Yeah, man, I
that's
wouldn't want to
interesting.
deal. So, yeah, good point. That's a good one.
Yeah, and then so in on the 10 rentals, if you don't mind sharing, what is your income or roughly what are you guys making? Is it 1,000 a door, 1,200 a door? What's kind of the average per door you're getting out there?
Got it. So I always shoot for $300. So now that we're sped up in the future now, I'm down to 4 properties there. I sold other properties. I'm leaving.
Got it. I
You
was
know,
gonna
I'm
ask you,
leaving.
do
Right.
you have like a new trusted team out there? Or did you kind of lose your 100 and decide that that's maybe not the market for you any longer?
That didn't even hurt me, man. Like, well, no, it hurt me. Yes, like it was a frustration, but it didn't stop us.
Right.
Okay. So what I'm getting at is I kept going, right? So what really hit me, and I'll get to your things to go to your question first, is the city of Cleveland. They got so bombarded with slumlords or people like the gentleman I'm talking about, and or people just parking their money out there because they're like, hey, you're in California and you got 50 grand laying around, you can go have a loss in Cleveland, and they just leave it dilapidated. So this, at the end of the day, there's a million other reasons. The city said we don't want out of state and foreign investors anymore. So they have a new plan in place for everybody. So they started. Do you want the story?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
love to hear
I
it.
mean, I
Yeah,
don't.
I
It's
think
your
it's
show,
interesting.
so I'm
Yeah.
just talking.
No,
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
So,
it's-
so they called us one day and they said, okay, so I bought the 4 properties I'm talking about are with a partner. So what I did was from a relationship here. Every deal has 2 parts: knowledge of time and money and credit. I'm the knowledge of the time. I'm the operator. We're the deal finders. We know how to make money with the deal. The high income earner that works as an engineer, doctor, lawyer, whatever, they're the ones like looking them. They have a problem. They have a money problem. They need the money to work so they could stay with inflation. So we work the money. That's how we raise our money. So then I found the gentleman that was willing to acquire, renovate, 100% funding on 4 properties. Well, that's how I do all my properties in general. But for a specific situation for these properties, he paid 100% for it, and we own them 50-50 JV, right? So we use our Arizona LLC we created. Another lesson: get your LLC in the state that you're buying in, and then if you do use your Arizona LLC, you got to file it as a foreign entity. I didn't know that. So what I did when I started burning them, I started before you get the loan, the lender's like, you got to apply for the foreign entity. It's like $60. Just didn't know. So we did it. So we did foreign entity on all of it. 1 LLC, 4 properties, which is probably now another reason you shouldn't do that either. So so now we're good. 6 months later, whatever, I don't even know the exact time, city calls. Hey, you guys bought these properties without filing as a foreign entity. Yeah, I know, apologize, but we did it. We refied and we did it. Yeah, we're up to date, we're current, all that stuff. No. When you bought it, you weren't. That's a violation. So now you're facing 5 years in jail and a $10,000 fine per property.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, hire your attorney. You guys got court dates, 4 different properties, all this stuff.
Wow.
So hire an attorney. So now you got $3,000 retainer. So now it's like, hey, attorney. He's like, oh, this is a money grab. They're in charge. You end up getting $500 fine, and we'll be done. So first appointment, postpone. Attorney shows up, pay him for his out. Right? You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Postpone.
I'm dealing with that right now on a lawsuit, kind of similar, but yeah.
Yeah, it sucks that we could brag about, not brag about it, right? But we could have a good conversation about it. But it's like, so that kept happening. So long story short, 2 of the properties got dismissed, $500. So they wanted to look at the properties. So now they're starting to send inspectors. They rolled out a lead-based paint law recently and they're starting with investors, meaning I got to make sure the paint doesn't have lead in it because kids were eating paint or whatever it was. So fair, you got to make it safe. These are all money grab thing, political money grab. So now it's like we're doing the lead-based paint. Then they're like, okay, that's done. Okay, then they're like telling us to like move smoke detectors and like carpet, like, you know what I mean? Like redo little carpet patches and things the tenants are not even complaining about or have a problem with. Like all our tenants are happy. We went in there. These properties are probably renovated like less than a year. So it's like we went down to almost the studs and took these houses to brand new, and the city's coming in inspecting. Okay, we inspect, do the work, go to court. Here's all the work. Here's all the receipts. Okay, we're gonna send someone out. Now this is months. It's not 2 days,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, so you're in court. So the first time they sent us 2 people to work with to inspect our property and approve everything, they no longer, one of them retired and the other one was fired. And the judge and the whole staff didn't even know. So we were telling the court that we needed new people for months until our next court date, where we went out and hired people.
Are the properties vacant or
Occupied.
Occupied. Wow. So you guys are collecting rent at least while this is going on, but
Yeah.
it's just all the red tape and all the BS that
Yeah.
goes around it. And to me, what it sounds like is exactly what you said. I want to say incentive. They're disincentivizing people to invest
Oh,
out of state. I mean,
100%.
they're just making it so much red tape, so much convolution that they're just like, hey, I'm just going to throw my hands up. And it sounds like that's what you did. You went from 10 properties down to 4. It sounds like, are you going to be selling the remainder, or are you going to hang on to the 4 best ones?
Yeah, so I'm going to work a deal with my partner. He still wants to stay, right? So my life is just different and changed, AZREIA and all that stuff. So he's going to buy me out on my
Oh, that's
share.
cool.
You would also think though too, as far as like having to file as a foreign entity, that's not something that the title company should have checked, or is that that's
Well,
on you as a buyer?
Well, always your responsibility,
Always,
right?
right.
But like, we also call it slow hire. Like, the business just isn't the same, man. It's slower. I'll go look up my properties on county records, and it's like incorrect typing and information. It's just sloppy. So I'm just gonna wrap up on that. There's one last thing they just like, what's the coup de grace, or what's that thing, the death blow?
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
I forgot the name, man. Basically, they just passed a law like 3 months ago that, in commercial certificate of occupancy.
Yeah.
So for your rental properties in Cleveland, when it goes vacant and you're an investor, the property goes vacant. The city has to inspect it and certify it's ready for the next tenant. Crazy, right?
Yeah, that is.
So think about it. It's already a slower market. It's not Phoenix, so it's like a month. You got to fix it, go clean it up, do your turn stuff, grand or 2, whatever, clean it up. Then a month to get it rented. But now, after my experience with the city of coming in and just doing their approvals, think how many months as an investor your property is going to be vacant. And I'm not even talking about the winter when there's snow on the ground, right? Or holidays, right? You're talking 6 months vacancy, 4 to 6 months. And one more final death blow. You have to have a local representative. I think it has to be like your property manager or some type of local representative has to be financially obligated for you if you don't come through.
Wow. How can they even do that? I mean, it seems like that
How
would
do you tie somebody else to that?
That seems like, yeah. I mean,
Cleveland's going to tank.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to.
They're going to have to,
Something.
but so it's going to be good for the locals, good for the.
Is it good for the average person though? Because I try to think of things through the lens of like, what is the average tenant in Cleveland? Are they going to benefit, or I don't see how they benefit from that. I don't see how they don't benefit from out-of-state money coming in and investing.
Especially if the locals aren't doing it themselves. You'd think they would want
I mean,
people to come in.
maybe you have a lot of the locals though, the local real estate folks there that really pick up and start buying more and have more opportunity, and maybe it does end up being a net benefit for them.
Hey man, I'm not a politician. I don't run a city. I don't know the bigger picture, right? Maybe, but for what they're doing to us on our 4 properties right now, like it's just. If I just pulled up the threads, like our lead inspector, he does 80% of the inspections for the city of Cleveland. And when he submitted our final leads for the last 2 properties, they tried to tell him and tell us that he was not in good standing in an active business. So our approvals are not being accepted. And he blew up, man. He's like, how I do 80% of your approvals and you're telling me I'm not in an active business? They're just messing up the file, man. Like, I don't know.
Wow.
I can't speak on how and why, but that's
that's interesting. That really is. And here at Young Money Mindset, we talk everything mindset, real estate, the hustle. I want one thing that really stood out is that you do all of your deals, from my understanding, with a partner, and you typically bring in someone else for the funding side, and you're going to provide the deal and the knowledge on how to actually execute on that. something that I did personally was doing a private equity fund, and I don't know
Oh,
if
wow.
you're familiar with John Burley.
Yeah, I know John.
Okay.
Well, yeah. He was with AZREIA for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Burley model, I got luckily, just cross paths with them and really fortunate to have met him and really,
Mhm.
learned and be mentored by him. But he's the one that really set me up on the whole private equity and understanding how to really fund it. And I think it's a huge takeaway though for a lot of our audience that may not be in a position to go out and have necessarily the funds to do it,
Hmm.
but they have the hustle and they have the mindset. Speak to the person out there listening to this, whether they're driving their car, they're on the treadmill, they're walking into the gym. How do you go about finding the knowledge or the just getting motivated to get out there and find the deal? Because I think AZREIA is a great place to start.
Thank you. Okay, so the motivation to do it. So, what drives? I mean, when I first started, I didn't want to be broke.
Yeah,
Like
that's your why though.
yeah, that's your why. Like
A lot of
I
people got to understand you got to have a why.
yeah, you got to have that that inner feeling is because when you do have those tough days, you're just down and out. What can you tap into to get that extra energy to push you out there, right? So you got to have the vision board or your kids or well, the young people probably hopefully you don't have kids yet, but you get what I'm saying. There's got I don't care if it's money, cars, whatever. Retire your parents. Find something to tap into and grab deep down into to push you. But you gotta want it, man. You gotta go get the education, right? You're not gonna figure out if you're gonna be a flipper, landlord, wholesaler, whatever it is right away. You just gotta get out there and learn, right? So Tony Robbins says if you want to learn Italian, go to Italy for 2 months, full immersion, figure it out. You just gotta jump in, learn, absorb, be around people doing it, and take action. Most important, you gotta apply what you're learning. Like, you know what I mean? So everyone talks about law of attraction, all this stuff. It's action. So you gotta have that mindset that you can attract it, but you got to be acting on it. That's let's not overcomplicate this.
Yeah, taking massive action is what I gather.
all it is.
Well, it's the
Action.
uncoachables too, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you can teach all these things. You can take a course for stuff, but like you said, unless you have that internal burn or that want for money or something more than you don't have, some people just won't work out in this industry. You have to have
It's
that.
not for everybody.
And it changes too. I mean, I'll be the 1st one to admit when I was a young 17, 18-year-old kid on my own,
Mhm.
family has no money. I'm living on my own in a little shitty one bath apartment. I wanted the fucking money. I wanted the Lamborghini. I wanted the
Yeah.
girls. I wanted all of it, right? As you get older, that changes. And I think that's normal. I think a lot of people are afraid to admit, though, that's what maybe that early on was what they wanted. But I think it's natural. And to speak on the hustle part, the uncoachables, I think is something that I love that you touched on that, Robbie, because it's so true. And you can have a person out there that maybe doesn't come from the best family,
Mhm.
but is just so hustle mentality, go go go, and you can go. They could step into a place like AZREIA and be surrounded by great people that genuinely care, that
Mhm.
have all the tools and the knowledge to pass along to them, and that person will flourish.
Yeah.
And then you have the other person where maybe they have every tool and process and system and access to maybe their dad's a multi-million-dollar real estate investor, but they just for some reason they don't have the hustle and the drive.
Yeah.
And that and just for the record, that doesn't always mean, I know a lot of really successful parents that have kids that some of the most hustle driven mentality folks that you'll meet. So I don't think there's a one for one correlation on that. But where do you think that's born? Like, do you think you're born with the hustle mentality, or do you think maybe that's something that you're a product of your environment, or I mean, what is it? Because some people have it and some people don't. I mean,
Yeah.
I've met people that just they don't want it. And speaking of that, real quick, is the Midwest. Sometimes
Yeah.
I've never seen more complacency than some states in the Midwest.
You know, I'm not a philosopher, man, or a scientist. I don't know, man. I don't have that answer, but I do think it's like you said, the why, the drive. Like there's something inside you that always wants something. Like I remember always just when I was like 8 years old, man, my uncle's girlfriend had a BMW, and my dad had like a '70 Monte Carlo, if you guys even know what that is. And I was just like, then I sat in a BMW, and I was like, I want to live like this. Then like. So that was all it was for me, just wanting better quality or a better life or not struggling, right? You know what I mean? So I think maybe it would lean more on the environment and what you want.
I
You know?
think it is I mean that's personally I've
Yeah.
tried to sit down and reflect and really understand. I mean I'm by no means a philosopher. I'm just a guy.
I meant to say scientist. I was like,
I
that
mean
just popped out.
I think my
Same
biggest
thing.
thing is I think it's environment. I really do. I mean some of the most successful people that I've seen aren't maybe necessarily the most educated or well spoken or I mean some are some aren't, but I feel like it is sometimes you're just kind of boiled in that environment.
It's
And
the five people you hang out with kind of thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Because if you when I was in high school, hung out with troublemakers, I was always in trouble, right? Now in real estate, hang out with successful people, it all works out together, right?
Yeah.
I,
And that's why it's important that you guys plug in with a good community. And I think this is a great segueing opportunity to really dive into what is AZREIA. Because
got it.
I know a lot of people out there, they may be searching, they may be coming across clips right now on Instagram or TikTok, and they're seeing all these people out there. What can you speak to AZREIA and kind of what is AZREIA?
Yeah, Arizona Real Estate Investors Association. So it's called. Also, you may have heard. Go to your local RIA, right? So there's a national RIA and there's a licensed RIA in every city and state. So we own the licensing for the entire state of Arizona, and we have for the last 22 years. So we're the largest real estate investing association in the country. So we're a place for you to plug into, right? So for your resources. So our mission is education. So we have all the training, networking. So our business is all about relationships, as you guys know. And then it's market information. So we always provide the latest market updates so you can make the proper decisions in your business. And we also cover government affairs. So us as our community, right? We're mom and pop investors. We're not hedge funds, right? Yes, there's some big players that have hundreds of houses here at AZREIA, but it's normally 65% of rentals in Arizona are owned by mom and pops, 1 to 5 houses, right? So we're the voice for those people, right? So right now there's 25 anti-landlord bills being proposed. Doesn't mean they're gonna go through. We used to be a red state, now we're purple, going to blue, right? We're in that balance. But these are like everything I talked about in Cleveland. Do you want that stuff happening here? So you got to speak up. You got to be informed, you're right. So to make these, so we're here to inform you with the information so you can make these decisions. So that's what we've done. Like I said, for 22 years. So plug in education. So that's what we're here for the investor.
I love it, and one thing on that is their association, right? So
Mhm.
it's not like you're gonna have one person to go to. I mean, there's so many different people at that AZREIA
Yeah.
that are available and do classes and all sorts of really cool tools for you guys.
Thank
Well, and
you.
it seems like too, there's a lot of different avenues on your website. I was checking it out earlier, and I really like too how you're not selling a $10,000 coaching program. Hey, come buy my coaching program and get whatever you want. I like that it's kind of a la carte.
Mhm.
Whereas if you want to go learn something, you want to learn how to write a wholesale contract, you can pay $100, take your 4-hour course, and be done. I don't know if that's the prices on it,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I like that aspect of it, and I like too, like you said, there's many different sections to it. So I know you have different memberships, and I kind of want to touch on what those different memberships are, and then also I believe you do some free events too for the community.
Oh yeah.
What are those structured? I mean, are they strictly for investors? Should agents be going to these and networking as well? And I also want to, what do you think is the benefit or the biggest benefit that your members do receive from being a part of it?
Okay. I got a lot to say.
That was like
All
12
right.
questions.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. No. There's a lot there, man. Like I was saying, 22 years, just under 2,000 members. That's just, I mean, there's just so much that to answer that. So one, I'll try to break it down in quadrants. So events, so the events for networking, 15 events a month. Okay, so we have our main monthly meeting, which is the second Monday of every month at Venue 8600 in Scottsdale. Right, that's the trade show, right? The networking, the education, and the market update. Like Monday night, Tina Tambor is going to be there, right? She does her thing. So you go there. That's the big event, and we do that same event in Tucson, right? So from there, we have what's called subgroups. So there's smaller meetings, maybe 10 to 50 people, and they're based on strategy. Fix and flip group, landlord group, notes group, women's group, fire group, financial independence, right? So we have all these different groups, and every one of those subgroups have a subgroup leader. So it's someone like myself that's been in the business 5+ years. They volunteer their time and they stand there and provide a place for people of like-minded to network and share resources. So sometimes it's like a little education. They'll have a little presentation, and it's networking. No big crazy agenda. And that's just a part of. Those are all part of your membership. So then we have business associates, which are the real estate investing service providers. Zona Law, eviction attorney, right? But Focus Law is a business entity. We have investor-friendly title companies and investor-friendly. Everything's investor-friendly. Property managers, agents, title companies, air conditioning companies, pest control companies, hard money lenders, traditional lenders, like you name it, they all support the real estate investor. So you can be new to real estate, come to AZREIA, meet other investors, meet the 5 people that you should want to be like, and then you can plug in to the business associates and have all our associates. We have a couple that are new, at least 5 years in our business. They are vetted, and there's no complaints from our members. So at least you could tap into the right attorney, the right title company, and be comfortable. You don't have to use them, but they'll answer your questions, and you get discounts for working with them, for being an AZREIA member. And then with those benefits, we're also partners with Home Depot. So Home Depot, we're good friends with, and if you're a member, you get 2% cash back on your spend. So if you're a contractor, you're a landlord, fix and flipper, it all adds up at the end of the day. So we give you a special code that goes into your Home Depot Pro account, and you get to start writing all that, getting cash back. Now, events, business associates, networking, education. So we always have workshops, training, online, in person, all throughout the year, from wholesaling, flipping. We do bus tours, you name it. So wherever you're at in your life and you're kind of like figuring out real estate, lean on us for our experience, for any knowledge, resources, lean on us, go through the trainings, education, all affordable, and then come out the other end reaching your why. Right?
And someone that's been there and that I can personally speak to it. I've never been around a more wide range of folks. I mean, you're going to meet new investors.
Yes.
You're going to meet experienced investors. You're going to meet, folks that are maybe a few years along. So I think it's a great way to not only network, but also kind of see, hey, what does it look like in 5 years? If I stay committed, because it goes back to mindset. I think, some folks that are new, they look at it like, they have a hard day. Like, man, why am I doing all this? Why am I making the cold calls? Why am I waking up every day showing houses or looking at these crack labs in South Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I like those.
what does that look like, right? And, they look at someone that, has flipped 700 or done 700 transactions, wholesale flip and rentals. And, they get to kind of see a future, and they get to see kind of a picture painted. And then, it also reminds them, too, of where they started. Maybe they see a brand new investor, and they're like, holy smokes, man. I remember having those same questions, and it gives them a platform to give back. And I think that's huge. So wherever you're at, experience-wise, AZREIA is the place to be.
Thank you, man.
And I can't say enough great things about it. And it's right down the street from my house, which is convenient.
If I could share, right, like, so when I first went, it's like to the main meeting, right? It's the bigger event. And when you're not in real estate, you assume like, oh my God, I'm going to sound stupid. I'm just, I just got out of work, right? I'm barely getting by check to check. They're going to be millionaires, and they're going to have Lamborghinis, and no one's going to talk to me, and I'm going to feel, I hear this all the time, right? So when that's how I felt. But I'll tell you, especially here in Phoenix, I don't know any other city or state, but I would say our real estate investing community in a whole is the most abundant thinking group of people, right? Like even just in general, success, right? If you're successful, you've been helped before.
Yeah.
You didn't do it by yourself.
Tell us the story, and I'm not sure if you remember it off the top of your head. You told it in class, and it stuck with me to this day, about the gentleman that showed up to the monthly meeting, ended up not investing into was it a big land deal, big development deal?
Tom.
Yeah, tell us that story, because I think that's a huge takeaway.
Yeah, okay, that's a perfect perspective. So Tom Chase, which ended up being, so we're actually recognizing him this Monday. So Tom...
Hey, shout out to Tom.
Tom, right? He started with AZREIA 20 years ago as a member. Then, like 10 years in, he became a subgroup leader that I was mentioning. So he started doing the notes group. So he buys mobile homes on West Phoenix cheap, or buys land, brings a mobile home on it, and then sells it on a note, right? So all these great stuff, and it's making money, right? Or being come in a bank. So basically, he was like 3-4 years into his journey in real estate. We do the market update. Like I said, Tina Tambor comes in, and we say, hey, here's where we're at, here's where we are, here's where we might be going, here's the stats, here's the data. You make your decisions in your business. Tom was going to invest $750,000 into a development just outside of Tucson, and basically the red flags were all over the place, and he pulled out. It was a big fund, a group of investors, and he was the only one that pulled out.
The only one,
because he was at that AZREIA meeting, saw the stats, pulled out, and he goes, then the market crashed, whatever happened. He goes, to this day, it still has never been developed. And he was like, that day, I was sold on AZREIA, and I'll be a member for life.
What year was that?
This was right before the Great Recession.
Oh wow.
So
okay.
back, I don't know the exact date and everything, but right before all that tanked.
Okay.
And I can't say we predicted it. I wasn't there but
Yeah.
we showed the signs.
Yeah, you're talking about it. You
Yeah.
have plenty of professionals in the industry that are
Exactly.
putting their input in.
And it just speaks volumes to being around the right people, being in the right communities, and just how powerful a community is.
Yeah, man. Can I share another?
Yeah.
Like, to me personally, right? So this was at a time, this was years back. So I'm wholesaling's in my blood. So it's like I was doing single family wholesaling. So then we hit a point in Phoenix where in our market update, we were like, hey, flippers are slowing down and home sales are slowing down. So, right, the flipper serves the home buyer, the wholesaler serves the flipper. So the home buyers are slowing down because the single family house is starting to become unaffordable. So what do we normally do as a flipper? You start saying, hey, home buyers are going to condos and townhouses because it's cheaper. So that's where the business was going. So the flippers started switching to condos and townhouses. So in my head, I'm like, I need to switch my marketing to condos and townhouses. So little things like that. So I did 3 deals in 3 months and made $40K by paying attention and just making a little switch in my business. That little things like that. Like, you don't have to. It's a 40-minute update from Tina. It's like you can't. It's overwhelming sometimes, right? But like the little things, the path of progress. Oh, if you're in the stock market, you have some insider information, you're going to jail. With real estate, it's all public information.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
That. Yeah,
You know,
no, it's a great perspective.
yeah.
I appreciate you sharing those stories. I think those are really powerful. And one thing that, I've struggled with just being vulnerable today is like, man, I need to really get better at not only because I'm here in the office, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the studio. I'm on the phones. I'm cold calling. I'm training, coaching, all the things that go along with running a true successful wholesale business.
Awesome.
You cannot lose sight of that part of it, though. And I think a lot of people get caught up into the working in your business versus on your business. So
Yeah, man. Like that's a huge statement. Even to this today, I'm not perfect. Like,
yeah,
it's like I ruined my business. If anything, I'm ruining it, right? Like, so you're always trying to get yourself out, right? So
yeah. And
Where are you at in your current business with paying attention to that metric? Are you doing flips? Are you strictly wholesaling? Are you doing townhouses as opposed to single family right now? Or where do you see our market at?
okay, so our market. That's okay. You got the big questions. You got the loaded questions, man. I'm trying to. Okay, so let's rephrase that. So where do you want me to hit first?
I want to find out what you're doing in your business
Okay.
right now.
All right. Good one. All right. So now, just to tap back into Cleveland, I sold the properties. So remember, other people's money, other people's resources, right? So I went to Cleveland, raised money, bought houses. So while at AZREIA, I joined 14 years ago. About 7 years ago, I became a trainer. Just volunteered myself to help others because I got help. And then about 3 years ago, the owner asked me to take over and buy AZREIA. So that costs money. So I sold the properties in Cleveland and bought the largest real estate investing association in the country with none of my own money. Get what I'm saying? Leverage.
Yeah,
I just want to point
right.
that out. So that taking on an organization and being a wholesale flipper, I was always a solopreneur, my wife and an assistant kind of thing, right? And then I grew. Before the Cleveland phase that we were talking about, I started a call center. So we were running a call center and running a wholesale business and buying rentals. Then COVID happened. Then we're still just wholesaling, doing our deals, flips, rentals. And then AZREIA came into the picture. Whole new ballgame. So I have a call center, real estate business, and now AZREIA. I had to put something. We put real estate on the burner. So it's my like wholesaling company. So got rid of all that and just put all my brain on the call center and AZREIA. So that's what I've been doing. So
you've been focused on that, building the AZREIA brand and everything here
Correct.
locally. Okay.
And so with that though, as we know, is you may have heard like bird dogs or like educate to dominate. We have this podcast because it brings resources and people listen and they want to work with you or they're inspired by you, so they bring you deals. So that's my business now. It's like deal flow comes from this.
So you have a JV model, and that's
100%,
the
yeah.
model. A lot of these big, I don't want to say, I don't know if that's the right word, but it seems like that's the way a lot of these investors are going, especially ones that have brand,
Yep.
are going to a JV model. And one story you had mentioned too in class that really stuck out to me is the Flagstaff deal, where a student brought it to you and
Sedona, let's get
or
that
Sedona,
clear.
sorry, Sedona, yeah. But and I, just to catch everyone up on it, a student brings you to the deal, smoking deal, not a lot of competition, ends up buying the deal. So
Yep.
there's a big opportunity, and just to plug our real estate boot camp that we have coming up is if you're not going to be paying for coaching, there's a lot of folks out there that are willing to lend their resources,
Yep.
their knowledge, their experience, maybe their spaces to you in exchange for deals.
Yeah, man.
And you can learn a lot of this stuff for free. And it's not like, oh, go YouTube it. I mean, that's one option. But just get out there and get involved with people that, you can bring a deal to and partner on it or flip it together. And then
There
you'll
you go.
learn all of that.
Yep.
I think that's
key.
huge. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're having a boot camp, I can see you guys are legit. You got deals on the board. You got people working, man. So it's like, yeah, learn while you earn is the kind of like the slogan, right? So go to the boot camp, come link in, and just go put in the work. That's what I'll tell newer people. It's like I used to call people time vampires because you do. Let me pick your brain. So I had like 100 coffee meetings. Like,
I hate that. I hate
done.
that question.
Like,
I hate that.
I like coffee.
Yeah.
All right. But it's like you get an hour of your time. And it's like, hey, just go do 1, 2, and 3. Right. And then we'll keep rolling. But majority of the time, people disappear. And you're like, hey, where you at? I spent like 3-4 hours with you and they're gone. And, oh, my dog and my cat, it's like whatever it is. So it's like, so I learned just like, I dumbed it down, man. Just like do a training or like, hey, do this one thing. Especially if you're new, you should only be doing one thing. Go knock on doors, right? Teach them, just knock on doors or call people or tell every friends and family or whatever it is. And then get the application. I say, get someone to say, I want to sell my house and bring it to you.
Yep.
Yeah. And then let's learn together. Or you can learn while we.
Well, I tell a lot of people, when I talk to people in that stage, one thing that I always mention to them is there's a false sense of productivity, and I see it being a retail agent. That's my start. Is I was a traditional real estate agent before I got into the investing space, and you see it on the retail side, you see it on the investor side, but one thing is you tend to do things that you feel like are productive, right? Like I want to go and I'm going to stare at Redfin and comp a property, right? And that's a sense of productivity when in reality it's like the most productive thing probably for that hour or 2 hours that you spent staring at that property, negotiating with yourself about what price to pay and what did that comp sell for. It's like the best thing is probably to reach out to a seller and pick up the phone or go knock on a door. We see it with traditional real estate agents. I call it playing on the MLS, right? They sit on the MLS and they do all this stuff on the MLS, and it's like, well, maybe reach out to your SOI or go call an internet lead or so it goes back to taking massive action, and we see that a lot. I think you do a really, really great job at leading from the front and speaking from a tone of truly, genuinely. I get a really good sense that you genuinely want to help, and I try to lean into that as well. I mean, you'll see on our wall here we have $10,000 a month mindset.
Awesome.
Culture of productivity, and I want to be surrounded by people that are not afraid to put in the work. And in exchange, we're going to pour into them, and it's time, it's money, it's time that we'll never get back, and vice versa on their end. So, what other things do you have? Any?
No, I love everything you're doing. I love everything you've done. Like you said, we talked about kind of our audience, before we jumped on. For any young entrepreneurs that maybe aren't into real estate yet, that want to get into real estate, maybe they're not ready quite to be a member of AZREIA yet. Do you have any sources or free events coming up that they can go to, or like maybe like a crash course on like, hey, here's the different avenues you can go in real estate, pick one and do one? And where would you suggest someone get a start?
Got it. So, yeah, you just got to go to azreia.org/calendar to see what's up. So you could always pay a $20 guest fee. If you want to go to our monthly meeting on the second Monday of the month, if you go to azreia.com, you get a complimentary ticket, right? So just get on the calendar, see what's going on. Free events, like I don't know when this is going to drop, so I don't know if you know Sophia Willits, multifamily.
Heard of her? I don't know. Yeah.
So we're doing a pop-up with her in DC Ranch, so that's free, right? So it's like you just got to look at the calendar. So yes, we do have we did a pop-up at Oso and Gilbert. We did a couple free coffee type events in the morning in Peoria and Central Phoenix. So yes, we do have some free like get-togethers. But otherwise, depending on your membership level, it's gonna be a $20 guest fee, and it'll be well worth it.
It'll be well worth it.
Yeah.
And you know, you can do deals there. You can make money at these events too.
Oh,
So
and-
I
Get
mean,
around it, absolutely.
so much money is made at those events. I can speak directly towards that because I know several investors that have gone and sold deals, bought deals. I mean,
Oh,
you name it, they've
all
done
the
it.
time. And going back to the person that doesn't know, like who are they? I don't know them. So if you spent the $20 and you chose to become that night, we'll apply that $20 to the membership, right? So you get $20 off the membership. However, go to the if I could just plug myself, like just look us up online, right? Like what we have, I think it was like 160 podcast episodes of the AZREIA Show. So it's like we have our YouTube page, right? So it's like there's just free information out there. Get a vibe for us, see if you like us, and see what and then go from there. Then come to the meeting, see if get a feel for it. So
I love it, man. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you guys check Mike out.
Thank
All
you.
social media platforms. Go ahead and drop your Instagram handle and YouTube channel name.
yep. For YouTube, it's just at AZREIA, AZREIA, and my personal for Instagram for AZREIA, it's Arizona_RIA, and then my personal is Michael Del Prete.
Sweet.
Perfect.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Thank you guys so
Appreciate
much
you
for thank you for coming in,
Thanks
and
for
thank
having
you
me.
guys for staying tuned to this long of an episode. I know typically these are jam-packed episodes. So if you guys have gotten any value, make sure you guys go to Apple Podcasts, drop a review for us or comment, share the show with someone, especially if you've been interested in, AZREIA and what that's all about. I think this episode's been great. Thank you again.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Appreciate
Seriously
it.
appreciate what you do.
Thank you, man.